Hello, my dear friend. Before we drift into tonight's cozy tale, take a moment to settle in. Maybe light a candle, dim your lights, turn on that trusty air purifier or fan. If you're on your phone or computer, go ahead and dim the screen a little. Give those eyes a break. And if you're comfy enough, feel free to close them all together. This is your time now. To relax. To listen. To learn a little. And maybe, just maybe, to smile. If you enjoy stories like this, consider giving this video a gentle thumbs up. And if you're not already, click that subscribe button so you'll always have a cozy place to return to. Now, let's begin. Tonight, we're talking about something soft, green, and magical. Not a goblin, not a frog, but matcha. Part 1. The Beginning. A Leaf's Journey. A long, long time ago, in the misty mountains of ancient China, over 1,000 years ago, to be a little more exact, tea was already a beloved companion. Now, back then, folks didn't brew tea leaves quite the way we do today. Oh no, they steamed, dried, and compressed them into bricks. Tea bricks. Imagine carrying your drink around in the form of a book. That's commitment. Around the Tang dynasty, tea began to be ground into a powder and whisked into hot water. A frothy, vibrant green drink. Familiar? That's right. That was matcha's earliest form. But our little green friend didn't stay put in China for long. No, sir. Part 2. Matcha goes to Japan, with a little help. Let's now travel to the 12th century, where a wise and curious Japanese monk named Isai took a journey to China. Now, Isai wasn't just there for sightseeing and dumplings, though who could blame him if he did? He was on a spiritual quest, and along the way, he discovered powdered tea. He brought it back to Japan, not just as a delicious drink, but as a tool for focus and meditation. Monks found that sipping matcha kept them awake through long hours of, well, being incredibly still. So in Zen temples across Japan, matcha became sacred. It wasn't just tea, it was a ceremony, a ritual, a reminder to be present. Part 3. Samurai, ceremonies, and a lot of bowing. Now, let's fast forward a little, to the 15th and 16th centuries. Matcha wasn't just for monks anymore. It had found new fans. The samurai. These warriors drank matcha before battle to sharpen their focus. You can just picture a samurai standing in silence, sipping his emerald green tea, mentally preparing to fight. Or politely nod. And then came a man named Sen no Rikyu, the most famous tea master in Japanese history. He didn't invent matcha, no, but he elevated it into something almost divine. Sen no Rikyu helped shape the Japanese tea ceremony, chanoyu, where every bow, every scoop, every turn of the teacup was done with mindfulness, elegance, and deep respect. This wasn't just drinking tea, it was art. Part 4. The Modern Day. From Temples to Cafes. Now, you might be wondering, that's all very lovely, but how did we go from Zen monks to matcha lattes with oat milk and vanilla syrup? Well, matcha remained a quiet cultural staple in Japan for centuries. But in the late 20th and early 21st century, Westerners, ever curious and perhaps a little caffeine-fueled, began to take notice. Suddenly, matcha was in everything. Lattes, cakes, ice cream, even face masks. Though I wouldn't recommend trying all those at once. And yes, matcha lattes became the drink for yoga moms, tech bros, sleepy students, and vibey cafe-goers everywhere. But behind that bright green foam is 1,000 years of history. A leaf that's been loved, ground, whisked, and cherished. Part 5. What makes matcha, matcha? Let's take a moment to talk about what makes matcha so special. Unlike regular green tea, where you steep and then discard the leaves, with matcha, you're drinking the whole leaf, stone ground into a fine powder. It's shaded for weeks before harvest, a little like a leaf spa retreat, which boosts its chlorophyll, amino acids, and flavor. It has caffeine, yes, but paired with L-theanine, it gives a smoother, calmer energy. Not jittery, just gently awake, like the feeling of sunshine through your window at 7 a.m., but without the alarm clock. It's the kind of drink that doesn't shout, "Wake up!" It gently nudges you with a warm hand and says, "Come on, love. The world's waiting." Part 6. A Cup of Stories. Now let me share a few cozy little tales from matcha's long life. In the Muromachi period, lords and scholars would gather in small huts called chashitsu for tea ceremonies. There, they'd sip tea while admiring rocks. Yep, rocks. These were no ordinary rocks, though. They were perfectly placed, aesthetically pleasing rock stars, if you will. In one famous tale, a warlord named Oda Nobunaga, the kind of man who could end your life with a single sword swipe, paused mid-battle to host a tea ceremony. Because even when swords were swinging, tea came first. Even today, some Japanese schools teach children how to whisk matcha, bow politely, and sip with intention. They're learning not just about tea, but about presence, respect, and ritual. Ending a final sip. So the next time you hold a cup of matcha, whether it's from a fancy tea room or your local drive-thru, take a moment. Remember the monks, the samurai, the quiet tea masters, the rocks. And remember that in a world that moves so fast, matcha teaches us to slow down, to savor, to breathe.